Good evening, everyone. This is Mellissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown for your Monday, June 29th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, guys, we like to give you the latest reports with COVID-19 cases and recent deaths. As reported according to the World Health Organization, globally, we are seeing over 10 million confirmed cases now. We finally passed the 10 million mark, and we're about 21,000 into that. And we are approaching 500,000 confirmed deaths globally. Here in the United States, according to Johns Hopkins University, we're seeing over 2.5 million confirmed cases, and we're approaching 126,000 confirmed deaths. The most alarming, probably, is the state of Florida. However, according to the Department of Health's dashboard, we here in the state of Florida are seeing over 146,000 confirmed cases and over 3,400 confirmed deaths. And we'll get back to the Florida numbers in a moment here shortly, so stay tuned to that. Our world story for today begins over in the UK, where the UK is considering its first local lockdown of the city of Leicester, which is the central English city over there amid COVID-19 spikes there. Now, the Sunday Times first reported that a lockdown was going to come within days after a report of 658 new cases, which were recorded in that area in the 2 weeks leading up to June 16th. So that raised a bit of alarm there. And according to the reports, the area of community spread was happening among the Asian community there in Leicester, which often lives in multi-generational households. So Home Secretary Priti Patel acknowledged that in a BBC interview on Sunday that the ministers were considering the move to lock down Leicester. Patel mentioned that, quote, with local flare-ups, it is right that we have a localized solution. So as of right now, Britain has Europe's worst confirmed coronavirus death toll, which has approached 43,600 so far. And of course, as you've likely heard us report and from other reports, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has received a lot of backlash due to his government response to the pandemic there in the UK. So watch this space. We'll continue to keep you guys updated. Now, jumping over here to the US, there is a bit of good news here in the United States. There are 2 states that are actually seeing a decline in COVID-19 cases. Sure, it may be only 2 states, but 2 states is still good. So far, Connecticut and Rhode Island are reporting some positive results there. Now, conversely, 36 states are actually reporting an increase in cases. So it's refreshing to hear of 2 states that are doing well. Now, the majority of the states reopened in late April and early May. Connecticut, by contrast, opened a lot later. They opened up from their lockdown around May 20th after several days of declining cases and hospitalizations. Now, it entered its second reopening phase on June 17th, a few days ahead of schedule, which was good news for them because hospitalization and infection rates remained low. Now, Rhode Island was one of the states that opened earlier in May. However, they saw a very good drop in cases and hospitalizations as well. Governor Gina Raimondo had said that the cases and hospitalizations held steady for 2 weeks there, with a 25% drop in new cases in that same time period. And since then, great news for Rhode Island, average new cases have continued to decline, with hospitalizations dropping below 100 this past Friday. So that's some great news. Governor Raimondo there said that back in April, before reopening, Rhode Island would need to meet requirements that included 14 days with decreasing new cases, the capacity to quickly identify community spread, adequate capacity in the healthcare system, and plans for long-term social distancing measures. So congrats to Connecticut and Rhode Island for showing a drop in numbers. Conversely, we come to the state of Florida. As I've mentioned, we wanted to come back to the numbers happening down here. Miami-Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach County have all decided to lock down their beaches for 4th of July weekend. So if that was something you were looking forward to doing this weekend, you'll have to alter your plans. And actually, there are recent reports that Key West is also choosing to do the same. Now, this is coming as a result of the continued high numbers of COVID-19 cases in those areas. And this weekend was a particularly alarming weekend with over 9,500 new cases on Saturday and over 8,500 new cases on Sunday. So Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez announced that the Miami-Dade beaches will be closed from July 3rd to July 7th. And in a tweet, the city of Fort Lauderdale, the mayor there, Dean Trentalis, announced that the Fort Lauderdale beaches will be closed from July 3rd to July 5th. And Palm Beach made their decision today to close their beaches as well. So if you were looking for 4th of July plans on the beach, you will have to pick a different destination. Bit of a dampener for the weekend, but safety first. As you guys always hear us tell you here on Florida National News, practice your social distancing, protect your hands, wash them, sanitize them, all of that. And of course, wear your mask to slow and stop the spread. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break and bring you some non-COVID-19 news. We'll be right back.
All this time we fought side by side. We trained together. We lost together. And now, you're the only one standing in my way. It's been a while, old friend.
All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for continuing to stick with us. In more U.S. news, Mississippi has finally moved to remove the state flag. It was the last state in the United States that still included the Confederate symbol within its flag. And even up to last year, many Mississippians had chosen to keep the flag. The government had chosen to keep the flag. However, in a recent move, the state legislature actually passed the bill to remove the flag by a vote of 91-23 in the House and 37-14 in the Senate. Now, this is coming after a result of a lot of pressure coming from both the NCAA and the SEC saying that we will not bring our championship games to Mississippi if you continue to keep the Confederate symbol on your flag. So they have decided to go ahead and move forward. Governor Tate Reeves had announced on Saturday that he would sign the legislation into law, of course, reversing resistance to the legislature-led change to the flag. Voters will be able to vote on the new flag in the November election, and the current flag design will not be one of the options there. Of course, originally voters had chosen to keep it because the Confederate symbol was as they called it, a preservation of history due to the Civil War, recognizing their ancestors who fought in Mississippi during the Civil War. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on all changes throughout the country as things continue to change in light of the George Floyd demise and situation. Now, jumping here to Florida, speaking of voting, Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a bill into law to speed up recounts when they are necessary. He signed a bill into law this weekend that will allow local elections officials across the state to use a secondary system to speed up recounts to verify the accuracy of voting results. Now, the critics of this bill were saying they were recommending that the governor veto the bill because so far there's only one vendor that's been approved to manufacture these machines or supply the machines and software. And the critics maintain that the new system can be risky because it relies on digital images of the original paper ballots. So we shall see how things go with that. He is opening it up to all 67 counties, all of these supervisors of elections in those respective counties. So we'll see how things go because as he mentioned earlier in the month, he expects this year's voter turnout to be very high by comparison. So we'll continue to keep you posted. I did want to make sure to open up the audience question before we go to commercial break. What are you guys' thoughts on the Mississippi flag? Do you think this is something that is a move that isn't necessary? Do you agree with the fact that the flag needed to be removed and changed? Leave us your comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. In the meantime, we're going to take another quick commercial break and come back with your business and sports.
I'm not picking it up. You pick it up.
I'm not picking it up.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. They're clean. 'Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin clean. That's how I know they're clean.
Charmin Ultra Strong is woven like a washcloth and just cleans better.
Yeah, I'm Charmin clean.
The kid does have a
That's
point.
My hand is clean. Yeah.
Enjoy the go with Charmin. And for an extra clean finish, try Charmin Flushable Wipes.
Welcome back, guys. Thanks for continuing to tune in. In your business news, Starbucks has decided to pause its advertising on social media platforms, including Facebook. Now, Starbucks is just the latest major corporation to do that. Starbucks mentioned to USA Today that they're not part of the growing boycott, but they have still nonetheless decided to hold off on their advertisements on social media in fighting against any hate speech that is going across social media, particularly in light of the election year. Now, recently, you guys have likely heard of the hashtag Stop Hate for Profit campaign. This was launched June 17th by civil rights groups, including the NAACP, Color of Change, and the Anti-Defamation League. And this is coming as corporate America is beginning to grapple with racial inequality following the death of George Floyd. So other corporations that have done the official boycott, include Unilever, Honda, Verizon, and Coca-Cola. They have decided to go ahead and join the protest. Now, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has outlined several steps that the network will take to combat hate speech, but several corporations have still decided against advertising on the platform and on Facebook, which that is Facebook's primary bread and butter, ads on the Facebook platform and on their Instagram platform. So as of Friday, shares in their stock dropped 8%, more than 8% on Friday. So of course, that hit them where it hurts in the wallet. However, for Starbucks' part, they said in a statement, quote, "We believe in bringing communities together, both in person and online, and we stand against hate speech. We believe more must be done to create welcoming and inclusive online communities, and we believe both business leaders and policymakers need to come together to affect real change." Now, jumping over into a bit of sports news, this brings the COVID-19 discussion back into things. But in the sports world, MLS is confirming 26 more COVID-19 cases ahead of the MLS's back tournament. You'll hear Casey talk about this in a little more detail tonight at 8 p.m. when she comes on for the FNN Sports Take. But here, very quickly, the MLS announced in a recent update, that 24 people received positive tests prior to traveling to Orlando, and then 2 tested positive after arriving in Central Florida. Now, according to their announcement, the MLS's announcement Sunday, 18 players and 6 staff members had tested positive. That was the breakdown. And so far, since arrival in Central Florida, 329 people have been tested for COVID-19, and 2 players out of those 329 tested positive. Now, teams began arriving to start training for the tournament this past Wednesday. And of course, the tournament takes place or kicks off July 8th. So stay tuned, watch this space. As of right now, the total positive test rate for these guys is 2.7%, which is looking at least a little bit better than the NBA. They're at 5.3. But again, Casey will give you a little bit more detail tonight at 8 p.m. when she comes on. Now we're going to take another quick commercial break and then come back with your entertainment news. Stay tuned.
We wanted to move back home to be closer to his family. We decided to go with pods because things were stressful enough.
We weren't sure how long we were going to need storage for, so we needed something that was flexible, and then they can deliver the container to wherever we move to.
We haven't found the perfect house yet, but we're still looking.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. As we wrap up with your entertainment news, you might see some vocal changes with The Simpsons and a little bit of a change with Family Guy. The Simpsons have chosen to recast the characters of color. The producers made this announcement on Friday that, quote, "Moving forward, The Simpsons will no longer have white actors voice non-white characters." The show said that in the statement on Friday. For Family Guy's part, Mike Henry, who has voiced the character of Cleveland Brown for 20 years now, has chosen to step down from that role. And he said that in his own written statement. He said, quote, "It's been an honor to play Cleveland on Family Guy for 20 years. I love this character, but people of color should play characters of color. Therefore, I will be stepping down from the role." Now, Fox and the Family Guy producers didn't make a statement on Mike Henry's decision to step down. But of course, these decisions are coming on the heels of what had happened last week, where Apple's Central Park and Netflix Big Mouth, those shows have decided to also recast their characters and their voice actors to more accurately have actors of color play those characters of color, including Kristen Bell, who was playing a biracial character. She said she is stepping down from that role to allow an actor of color to play the role. Now that does it for us. Well, actually, before I wrap up, there is one more entertainment story for you guys. One more. Now, for those of you who are local to Orlando or you're coming to Orlando and you want something interesting to do, Universal Orlando is announcing as of tomorrow that its Born Stuntacular will be opening to the public. This is a stunt showcase in honor of the Born franchise, the Born film franchise. However, if you feel too impatient to wait till tomorrow, they're actually doing a sneak peek on their YouTube channel, the Universal Orlando YouTube channel, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you'll be able to see a sneak preview of the stunt show, as well as hear from director Frank Marshall and actress Julia Stiles, who have both been key parts of the franchise. They will provide their commentary, and you guys will be able to see some behind the scenes footage. So if you're a fan of that series and you get that kind of thrill, be sure to tune in tonight on the Universal Orlando YouTube channel. And if you're interested in the times for the Born Stuntacular, be sure to download the Universal Orlando app to get those show times. Now that does it here for us at Entertainment News, at Evening News Rundown, guys. Sorry about that. But be sure to stay with us here at Florida National News, because Casey will be back at 8 p.m. Eastern with the FNN Sports Take. And I will be back with you twice tomorrow with the FNN Politics and Power Series at 1 p.m. and back at 5 p.m. with the Evening News Rundown. In the meantime, have a great rest of your evening. Take care.